I can't believe this is the final episode of my African American hair care series. I've had such a good time explaining everything that I do with my daughter's hair, and I hope you guys have learned something. It's been a really great introduction to our new channel. I'm very excited to grow into the channel that we will become in the future. And I'm so excited that y'all are here to be able to go along on this adventure and journey with us. So with that said, let's start episode 5 of Nolapapa. So I know starting out, it is daunting learning all the things and the techniques and the products to use for your child's hair. It can be difficult, and I get that. And I know when I first started out, it was very difficult because it was like I was dropped in a bath of cold water. I didn't know what to do, how to do it. And the more I learned, the more confident, I guess you can say, that I was. But I really didn't grow until I actually started doing my daughter's hair. And just like each of you, you can read about it all day and you can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but it's until you really start that trial and error and you start making those mistakes, because everybody does, that is when you learn. And I am white, and I don't have African American hair. And I feel like that was a learning curve for me. But you don't have to be black, and you don't have to have African American hair. You can educate yourself and then apply that knowledge to what you've learned, and then start with doing the hair. And it's when you get those tangles because you didn't use the hair protection like the bonnet or the shower cap, and the tears that come because of the tangles. You learn from those mistakes. And it's from the products that you use when your child does get the breakouts, whether they have eczema or not, whether it's an oily product and it really just messes with their skin. It's those mistakes that help guide you to not make that mistake again. And you're not going to learn until you make those mistakes, because I've made the mistakes, but you can't learn that through me watching a video. You have to do that yourself. And it's very exciting for me to know that your next step will hopefully be tackling that hair. And that's when you're able to really just focus on getting her or his hair healthy. And that was number one. I knew I wanted my child's hair to be healthy. It didn't have to look like a Vogue cover of a magazine, but I knew that it needed to be healthy. And after I got the healthy part, that's when I felt like that it was important, for me at least, to make it cute. And the more I replicated what I saw, the more comfortable I got when I did her hair. And one day led to two, led to a week, led to a month. And now we're a year down the road, and I really feel like that I knew a hell of a lot more than I did when I first started out. And that's exactly like each of you, because I know in the beginning you are downright scared, and I know I was. And it's all about educating yourself, but applying that education to actually doing the task that you're learning about. That's when you learn, and that's what's so important. And that's what's so exciting. I was really planning to do this episode with my husband, Douglas, but his schedule is so hectic at the hospital. That's where he works, and it's really hard to try to schedule timing of recording while he's at work and while the girls are at daycare. So in lieu of him being here, I know what he probably would say, so I'm gonna tackle it in that direction. So rather than him physically being here, I'm just going to tell you, having your spouse and, you know, hoping that they're learning along with you when you do your child's hair, what are they doing to continue the process of making sure that it's healthy and cute. I can say for Douglas that his focus isn't necessarily the cute look as much as the actual washing. And he does a great job washing her hair. But when it comes to, and this kills me, when Ella wakes up from her nap and we've got to go to the grocery store, but I'm not going because I'm doing laundry, Douglas will grab Ella as soon as that bonnet comes off and put her in the car seat, and out the door they go. And I don't even realize they've left until the house gets quiet. And that boy done left the house with that girl without even brushing her hair. How in the hell can you do that? Like, I mean, so it's not really a focus for him. He, you know, makes sure her hair is healthy, but he doesn't really care about the vanity part and the frou-frou and making it all pretty. But I mean, you know, Douglas, at least get that little brush and brush it down a little bit before you go. You know, I mean, Allie Mae, she has very fine, oily hair. And we brush it, you know, she has a complete different brush, you know. But when we don't, it looks like a rat's nest. So the same with Ella, except with hers being a rat's nest, it's more just poofy. So it's just funny how where my mind goes, his is completely opposite. He's just thinking about, you know, the eggs and milk that he needs to grab. And I'm thinking about, well, we're going to look cute while we're doing it, so let's just fix that hair. You know, your spouse is probably not going to think the same lines as you're thinking. So whatever, I had to let go of my expectations. My baby tries real hard. And when he conditions her hair, or when he does the co-wash and he picks out the tangles, he does a real good job. And he is not worried at all about anybody that's going to give him a second look. Unlike me, I can feel the looks, like I can, and I'm going to touch on that topic when I read a question from somebody, and I'll get to that. But, you know, it's just really funny how our spouses, you know, come to the table with a complete different thought process than what we come to the table with. But, you know, that's what makes us yin and yang. You know, I come to the table with what I have to offer. He comes to the table with what he has. And then, you know, it's what makes us such a dynamic duo. And I'm sure that's what each and every one of you, you know, can relate to with your spouse. So it's really funny, though, if you really think about it. I can shudder at sometimes that, like, oh, I can't believe that. But yeah, it's funny. So I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me any questions that they had about African American hair care. And I got a few funny questions. One, definitely funny question. But I thought that I would answer a couple of them just to see what you guys were thinking. And one of the questions is, what is the funniest situations that you had in public when you first started out doing your daughter's hair? And we were at Walmart, and this is before I started doing anything. We were washing her hair, but that was it. She was probably about a year old. So her hair was still growing anyway, because you can't really do much with styling when she's a year. But you can at least try, dabble in it, you know, but I wasn't. We went into Walmart, and I put her in a buggy and we just to go in, and Ella is the life. She is telling everybody, hey, hey, and that gets reaction from others, and they're like, hey. Well, we were going through on our little buggy at Walmart, and Ella's just a talking, and she tells one lady, African American lady, she says, hey, and that lady says, hey, before she looked at Ella, and she said, hey, and her eyes got real big, and she smiled, but she tried to cover it up, and then she looked at me, and then she looked at Ella, and it was like I could read her thoughts, like, no, you didn't take that baby in here like that. And I did, because it didn't know. And it was life-changing for me, because that lady was as sweet as tea. And I'm really glad that she was so sweet like that, because I'm sure that other people could maybe, be rude, but I haven't really encountered that. But that moment right there will always sit with me when I think back of before I did her hair, after I did her hair. Because now we go in there and they're like, oh, yes. And they said, Daddy, you do her hair? And I said, I did. And they're like, good job. And that validation right there is more than like a medal. Like, it just makes me feel like I've accomplished something. And I don't have to necessarily have their validation, but it really does help. That hard work applied to something, it's spot on, and I love it. So, question 2. I really like this one too. What product did you use that was a game changer? And there really was a specific product that changed everything. And that is when I had my friend from church come over and teach me how to style Ella's hair into poofs. And I, got the product that she was talking about, and I was using it, but I wasn't using it right. And it was this control paste. It's a curl control paste, and it smells really good. I think it's episode 2 if you want to go back and look at it, but it's by the brand Curls. And when I first got this control paste, I would put it in Ella's hair, but I was putting it down like dipping my finger in and then just gliding across, and I was done. That's not what you do. And I would go to church like that. I was trying real hard. But that's not how you use that paste. I learned actually how to use the paste when I went to Sally's, and the lady told me, no, you just don't put it on her hair and leave it. You put it on her hair, and then you take, your edge brush and you brush it. You brush that control paste through. That way, it really gets incorporated into the hair. It's not just sitting on top. This one time I went to church and I took Ella and I thought her hair looked great. But I had a friend of mine, white friend of mine, he looked at her hair and he's like, did the dog lick her? And I said, what? He's like, it looks like the dog licked her hair. And I said, what are you talking about? And I looked, it really looked like a dog licked her hair. Like there was like an iridescent, like bubbly, weird, like at home it did not look like that. But once I got to church, I was like, oh my God. That's when I went to Sally's and that lady told me, no, you don't leave the control paste on top of her hair like that. You need to brush it in so it's incorporated. That's when I learned. See, you don't learn until you make the mistakes. Oh, that was embarrassing. But I learned and I never did it again. And then after that, that's when my other friend from church came and she showed me how to do the poofs. But the game-changing product is the curl control paste. That stuff is awesome. You can make her hair flat to her head. It's nice and silky and it smells so good. That curl control paste by Curls, highly recommended. It's a game changer. But the final question that I have is, how long did it take for you to learn the process in doing and caring for African American hair? And honestly, you never stop learning, really. But the essentials took me, about a year. I definitely didn't learn something and be like, I'm gonna go start a YouTube channel. It wasn't like that. It was me kind of growing my confidence, learning as I go, making the mistakes. And about a year after I started, that's when I really felt like, okay, well, now I can start learning different hairstyles. And I would really, my next experiment will be twists. That seems like up my alley. That seems like something that my brain level can understand. So you never stop learning, but after a year, to answer the question, that's when I really felt like I had a handle on what I was doing. And her hair seemed much more healthy than it used to. We were able to really learn how to use that bonnet. And when we swam, we wore the shower cap, and that all helped to produce a better outcome and healthy hair. And I'm sure that's how it, probably a lot sooner for y'all, but for me, it takes a little bit longer for Papa to grasp what's going on. And so I'd say about a year. And so with that said, I am very excited that you've come along on this journey with us. I am super excited to continue the content. I plan to talk about our adoption, gay adoption in general. I plan to tackle really personal issues like coming out and dealing with coming out in the South and growing into a more confident person and connecting with that powerful person that you have inside and living it on the outside. I struggle with that. Like, I'm super self-conscious, and with the help of my husband, he really helps me understand that I am good enough and to hold on to that and to know that what I am here on earth for, I am good at doing that. And each one of you are too. And I really look forward to starting the next season of Nolapapa, a story of a gay dad. And I'm so happy that each one of you have come along for this journey. And if you just started out, buckle up and let's do it. And thank you again for watching the past episodes. And if you did like what you've seen, please subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you can be notified when we start a new episode. And follow us on Instagram at Nolapapa and Facebook at Nolapapa, and keep up with my blog at nolapapa.com. And with all that said, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next episode.